So, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And today I'm joined with FPL Masterpiece, fellow friend from FPL USA, and also a big Spurs fan. So, we'll just deep dive into everything Spurs in this stream and take your questions at the end. So, firstly, hey, Masterpiece, how do you feel about the new season and how was your break?
Hey, this is Shakar, aka FPL Masterpiece. It's my pleasure to join my friend Nehal to have an All Spurs table talk. Um, Excited is the word that I would like to use for us next season because for the first time, we have something to look forward to. We're probably going to lose games and concede goals like usual, but hey, at least we're going to enjoy us playing, attacking football, high press, scoring a lot of goals. So we'll see. It should be a fun journey, Not a lot of expectations, not a lot of pressure. Um, we can talk about it
True,
more.
true. I mean, I see a level of optimism in all Spurs fans going into the season, which is a breath of fresh air from the past few seasons, and really excited on how Ange is changing how football is played at Spurs. So let's just deep dive into what do you think about Ange Paul and our upcoming season. So
Sounds
the
good to
things
me.
So the things that we'll talk about today would just be a basic rundown of what the last season was like for Spurs, just some transfer market incomings, how the preseason went, a bit of a deep dive into how the fixtures look from the game week 1 to game week 8 fixture block. Also, a little bit of an analysis and deep dive into how Ange Ball is looking like and what can we expect from Spurs this season, predicted lineup, and what the best picks according to Shakar are from Spurs. So let's first dive into some key stats. Last season, 70 goals, fifth highest in the league, but on the flip side, conceded 63 goals, which was like the sixth worst in the league. So what do you think about those stats? Like, was it solely on how the system was, or was there something lacking defensively, according to you?
We just don't have good defenders. I mean, that's the truth. Um, we've been using the same guys, the same setup um, since 2017 or 2018. We've needed improvements in the back. There has been many managers asking and talking about that, but it just hasn't happened. I think the only good defender that we've had in recent years has been Christian Romero, but he's been out with injuries here and there, and he's just one person. We need more, especially in contest system. He was playing with five defenders, and it was just Romero trying to pick up the slack for everybody else. And a lot of times you see him get into rash tackles or get sent off. But the reason why we considered goals because we didn't have the right personnel. I think the combination of the system changing this year and also getting some reinforcements, which you can talk about in the next few
Yeah.
slides.
Absolutely. Also, I would also put it down to Romero being the leader and just being a little hot-headed, getting sent off in like bigger games. So that could also be like one of the things is that you didn't have like a stable defense like going into the season. When you're dealing with Eric Dyer all the time, it's not a good ask.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's always a point of contention amongst Spurs fan base about Romero because you do see that in him. He's always taking those making those challenges and tackles that could be unnecessary. I think a lot of it is frustration because in Argentina he has more support. You don't see him do that as much as he does with Spurs. On our side, when you play alongside players are not at the same level, it could be frustrating, and especially if you're being pressed against, if you're down, if you're under pressure, so you're more likely to make those mistakes. I'm
True.
guessing it'll be different this year. Maybe you'll see the same Romero making challenges, but I think he's going to be less hot-headed and be more
Yeah,
composed.
yeah, I hope so. I mean that he's the leader of the defense as of now, so he needs to take that responsibility up and be the man who sets the example on the
Mhm.
pitch. Also, if you think like Harry Kane ended up as the second highest goal scorer in Europe, and he was kind of on the crux of leaving the club. What do you think about Harry Kane's last season?
Ah, I mean, last season phenomenal, like always. He's, in my biased opinion, he's one of the most complete strikers of our, of our time. He's magnificent goal scorer on one hand, but also his ball distribution and ability to, change the outcome of the game just with the ball at his feet anywhere on the field is just amazing. I don't think I've ever seen any number nines in my time as complete as he is. So in contest system, he was just the man. Everything was going through him. All of the chances that we're creating, whatever that was, it was all pointing toward Kane at the end, and he was always there. Kane had more injuries earlier on, in his mid 20s. Last season, I think he played every game, no injuries. He's just becoming smarter and smarter with his body.
Yeah,
I think Messi later on in the later years, he learned how to press more smartly instead of just pressing and pressing. I think Kane is at that stage of his life to learn to listen to his body and know when to press and when to not push himself over to avoid injuries. So just being there and having this increased minutes is helping him a lot. And you saw that he was always
absolutely,
present, scoring goals.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, he's managed his injuries a lot better in the last two seasons. Actually, the season before also, I don't remember him out for a very long time. But last season for sure, he was like completely available, which is very good for Spurs. But like whatever position that was achieved was largely down to his contributions. I mean, 30 goals in a season, that's massive, and
Yep.
also finishing as your top assister. So that's another thing of another part of his game.
That's why I take last season's stats with a grain of salt because it's not going to stay the same. It's just the whole system is
Absolutely,
changing, and
absolutely,
we should not be a one-man team anymore. So
absolutely. I
we'll
hope
see.
so too. Let's move on to our next slide. That is the transfer window. How do you think your transfer window was this season? Arrivals of Madison, Vicario, Solomon, and Udogi.
It started very well because we as a team, as a club, we always do the business late, which is very frustrating because you want to be serious in the transfer window and get all the players you want early on so the manager can, adapt into the team and etc. This year, to my surprise, we got Madison and Vicario and Solomon, and even Udoki is just an incoming. We bought him last year, and he's just coming back from loan. The key guys that we needed was the replacement for Loris because one, he's aging, and two, his style of play doesn't fit an attacking and high press and short passing type of system any longer. So we needed a backup goalkeeper. We tried to get Raya. There was a lot of conversations, and then immediately, died down because they're asking for a lot of money. Instead of stalling these conversations for the whole summer, which something Spurs would have done historically,
True,
we were just like, nah, we're not doing this anymore. Let's just go somewhere else. And then the choice was for Vicario, just for his ability to play with his feet. I'm excited. It's been going well. We also, what's not shown in your list, we announced the signing of Mickey Van de Ven. He's the central back defender. He's very pacey. From Ajax, played in Germany 1 year. Looking forward to him playing alongside Romero. We also got a
yeah.
young striker from Argentina. It will be lying to you if I could pronounce his name correctly, so I'm going to avoid embarrassing myself. But it's typical Spurs, business. We get a young player every year or every 2 years and hope it works, which is basically gambling money away, in my opinion. I hope there is more to it this year because I learned and they were talking about taking a more data-centric approach to the
Hmm.
transfer window, which is very
Hmm.
exciting to see finally. It's
True,
2023 and should have happened a long time ago. So we'll see.
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to all of it. It should be fun. Um,
Yeah, especially like when you mentioned the young player policy, it was also Decky was one of them, right? When he came over, so that kind of worked out. So I hope this new kid that you have right now works out in the future for sure.
yeah,
And especially Vicario as well. It was much needed signing over Laurie's aging and missing
100%.
easy. Yeah, so there were like a lot of easy goals that were let in, which is kind of detrimental to what Spurs ended up with. Because his positioning wasn't the best throughout the season as well. So yeah, Vicario is a good upgrade on him, and he has a good Serie A record behind his
Mhm.
back.
Yeah, and let's not forget Madison. I think he is one of the most underrated transfers in the window. I'm not saying that because I'm a Spurs fan. In our perspective, we always had to rely on Kane to draw back and do any sort of playmaking and distribution. He doesn't need to do that anymore because we have a great player in Madison who can do all of that. And he was, the main guy for Leicester City for couple of seasons, and to get
True.
him, under the radar like that, I was pretty impressive. I'm very happy to watch him play, which I'm guessing we're gonna talk about him more in the
Sure.
coming slides. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. So let's move on to our next slide. That is our preseasons. So what do you think about this preseason form so far? West
It's
Ham lost by 3 goals to Lion City Sailors, won by 5 goals to one. Shakhtar Donetsk 6 goals to one. Today there was the Barcelona game, I think, which was
Yeah,
like 4-2,
correct. Yes.
and the Leicester game was washed out completely.
hmm
So
Uh, it was a little bit disappointing in the beginning because we needed game time, and the Leicester game got canceled. So we had the new manager, and it was a couple of weeks. We're only like one game in against West Ham, and we were playing against this team that nobody has ever heard of, Lion City Sailors. That's such a bizarre name. All the respect to them, but
no, for
um,
sure.
yeah. So it was good to see the team. We had expectations for Ange Ball. We've seen him before with Celtics. Um, we we had some data on what he was going to do, and just seeing those couple of games, kind of a replica to his system with Celtics. So this is good. This is refreshing. Promising signs. What's unique about those games? I read some statistic before the Barcelona game. I think we had over 100 shots or something crazy
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
which is magnificent. I'm probably exaggerating here, but it felt like last year in total we had 100 shots, over the whole season. It was just Kane taking a shot and scoring some crazy, mind-blowing goal, and
absolutely.
that was our whole season. Everybody complaining about how we're taking two chances and still somehow managing to draw or win a game. I think it's going to be very different this year. We're going to have a lot of
Honestly,
opportunities. Uh-huh. Go
no,
ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was
Complete.
saying we're going to have a lot of opportunities. We're going to concede a lot of chances, take a lot of shots, and concede a lot of shots as well. So it will be a roller coaster every game. So it should be
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely. I mean, I was just gonna mention like last season. I remember it was watching Spurs games or like literally watching slow burners. You have to like actually grind through most of the games. But whenever I've whatever I've caught of preseason with Spurs, it's been exciting. So as a neutral as well, I'm looking forward to their season and want to see how Ange does it over a season because this is
hmm
just a few games for now, and how does it sustain over a season?
Yep.
So speaking of that, let's just move into our first 8 fixtures. And what do you think about the first 8 fixtures for Spurs?
I mean, just ignoring the teams you're seeing there. I'm in the boat of giving Ange some time. I think it's good that we're not in Europe
Hmm.
because we're changing our style of play completely. So, not having the pressure of Europe is good. It's
Hmm.
good that, in a way, it's good that we finished, what was it, eighth or something like that last year. So the expectation of, maintaining your previous year's record, that's also not as much pressure.
True.
Um, to completely implement its philosophy, I just wish we had the defenders they needed to complement the system. That's really the issue that I'm talking that's of concern here.
Hmm.
That would probably hurt us, especially the first two games because Brentford away and Man United are really tough fixtures. Um, we're probably going to be. I'm guessing he's going to start our new center back, Mickey Van de Ven. Just going to call him Mickey just for the sake of shorter name.
For
He's going
sure.
to start Mickey and Romero in the back, but we've not seen him play together all preseason. So now you're hoping that they have
Suddenly
this
gel together.
chemistry exactly, have the chemistry
Absolutely.
and gel together. So you're just crossing a lot of fingers to make it work, which is frustrating. I mean, obviously, the other big frustrating piece is all the rumors and discussions about Kane staying, Kane going. It's affecting us as fans, but I'm sure it's affecting the team as well. Put yourself in Kane's shoes or Richarlison's shoes. He's wondering if he's going to be the starting number 9 for the team this year, or is he going to be the backup again? Kane, is he going to be moving to Germany or not? So, I mean, I know they're professionals and, they're used to this type of pressure, but, there is a human aspect to them as well, right? So all of this big cloud is over our head and wish it gets resolved. I'm really happy and proud that Kane took a stance and he said, hey, if we're not going to resolve this by the first game, then I'm going to stay, which is great because we could have repeated a similar situation to Bale, was it about 10 years ago? When he
Yeah.
left for Real Madrid, it lingered until the very last day or 2 days of the transfer window. Very frustrating, and we were
I
already into
mean,
the season.
absolutely. I mean, and then leaves you with little to no time to get a replacement in. So that was really good on Kane's part to like actually commit to the club. If it's not happening, it's not happening.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think we'll struggle the first two games. Would be surprised if we get much out of it. I'm sure we're going to create chances. It's just conceding opportunities and goals. That's the key concern. I'm going to talk about the Barcelona game, for example, in a bit once we talk about Ange Ball. But that was a good example of how if you're the better team throughout the game, but still the final score is 4-2.
yeah,
But the games three, Bournemouth, Burnley, and Sheffield, it's a good break for us um, to be able to catch our breath. I'm not gonna say they're easy games; they're all difficult fixtures. You know, game week 3 and 4 both away. For us to be able to implement our philosophy fully, I think it's going to take some time. I when
for
you know when we got Ainge, I was going to give him until the end of this year for him to be able to completely implement his philosophy. So as a fan, I don't have a lot of expectations for us to produce results. There's going to be goals, but we're probably not going to get as many points in the league table. That's my
yeah.
expectation.
I mean, it makes sense to set like realistic expectations than to like set a bar too high and then expecting him to cross that over. Any team for any philosophy to be implemented takes some time. So yeah, I completely understand from your point of view. But if you're looking for it like from an attacking point of view, I don't think so. Any game should be a very difficult game because the way Ange is operating these days, it's like if you score 3 goals, I'm going to try and outscore you. I'm going to
Exactly.
get the fourth goal. So from a attacking point of view, I think all games should be fine, especially when you were past the second game week after United. When Arsenal looked kind of porous against City in the Community Shield game, and Liverpool is as open as we know it to be. Like speaking from a very Liverpool fan point of view, I know how open we are. So it's going to be a cracking game over there. It's literally going to be Klopp ball versus Ange ball with having the same philosophies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of 80 to 90% sure we're losing the Arsenal game away. uh, because of the
Uh,
record, in their
yeah,
stadium mainly,
yeah,
and also being new. But the Liverpool game should be more entertaining. You're having two attacking teams going at each other, so I'm excited to see how that pans out. At least I'm going to enjoy the game, even if we lose. That's what I missed about
perfect.
Spurs last couple of years.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Yeah, I know. I get it from a person who's gone through Mourinho, Nuno, and Conte. Yes, this is a breath of fresh air.
Oh man, the club owed us a lot of therapy, for those years. They should offer free therapy sessions for all of the fan base. Not fun.
Absolutely.
Uh,
So let's move on to the the so-called Ange ball and what you think about it, and what do you think your formation is going to be like, and a basic deep dive into what Ange expects out of the team.
Yeah, so I mean, on paper, when you see it, it looks like a 4-3-3, but that changes a lot throughout the game, which I think you're going to show me an expected lineup, and we can talk about that more. But the whole philosophy is keep attacking, don't be afraid of taking risks. There's some clips from today's game against Barcelona that was circulating on Twitter where we're playing out of the back and Barcelona just being Barcelona, they're a high pressing team, attacking and they're pressing on us and we kept passing the ball in the back and we managed to create an opportunity from there, which was very telling for where we will be going this year. Essentially, you have two center backs, and then the right back and the left back join the number six, the central uh, midfield defender. So that's Bissouma in that case. It should be the starter. And on the right, we're going to have Poro, and then on the left, we have Udogi join him in the attacking phase. And then in front, there's the two number eights, which is Madison on the left, and then you would probably have somebody like Sar or Skip start in that position. I know there's a lot of people wanting to have Lo Celso start. I'll talk about that later why that may not make a lot of sense. And
Mhm,
then very wide, to open up the field, you would have Son on the left side and then Kulusevski on the right side, and then the number nine, which should be either Kane or Charleston, depending on how the whole Bayern thing pans out. Now, when we don't have the ball, the way it goes, Madison joins the attack, so him and Ken are pressing up front, so it kind of switches to a 4-4-2. It's really risky type of setup because you're committing everybody forward, and
mhm,
that's basically the style that Ange is going for. There's been some instances in the friendlies where he's getting frustrated at his players for not being as risky as he wants them to be, which is a complete 180 from Conte and the previous managers. We're now just trying to recycle the ball in the back and play a conservative type of style where we're trying not to give the ball away. Instead, we want to create as many opportunities and as many chances, and whether that's taking a shot from outside of the box, whether that's making risky through passes. Some of them are going to go through. We're going to lose possession. So it's going to be fun to watch. What's noteworthy is our number eight. This is where it gets fun. The number eight in the 4-3 formation on the left side right now it's Madison. He's kind of a hybrid between a 9.5 to kind of a 10.5. So what he does, he joins the attack. You always see him in the box. Sometimes drops back, gets the ball, so either crossing that in or taking a shot from outside or through pass in. A little similar to how De Bruyne plays at City,
mhm,
or even to a
mhm.
certain extent Odegaard at Arsenal. Those roles where kind of essentially everything goes through them for
True.
making magic happen in the team. I think that's going to be Madison, which is why he's a very, very important piece and making it even more of an important signing, which I think we'll all be talking about him more as the season passes. And then the other number eight in the team, he has more defensive duties, so he tends to draw
All
back
right.
further, which is why even though a lot of people want Lo Celso to start because he's been amazing this preseason, even today against Barcelona, you're seeing glimpses of greatness. And there's a good reason why managers like Xavi or even Unai Emery from Aston Villa want to sign him. He's really good. I mean, he won the World Cup with Argentina, right? He's a starter for them for a reason because he's great. We just didn't have the right setup for him before, so he just didn't fit in our team. I think this year is going to be different. I'm very excited to have two players in Lo Celso and Madison competing for one position. If you want to be risky, you will see them both start at the same time, and then it's going to be madness. Chaos is going to happen end to end of the field.
What do you
And then the
think
most
about?
important piece, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the most important
No, no,
piece
go
is
ahead,
really
go ahead.
Bissouma. We signed him from Brighton, such an underrated player as well in the back. Conte never played him because it didn't fit his archaic style of football, with having two type of very odd dynamic number sixes in his 3-4-3 setup. In Ange's system, he's getting this creative freedom to both attack and defend. So it's kind of a maestro from the back. I think it's a great piece to the system, and we'll definitely see more of him as time passes.
Absolutely. What do you think about Ndomble? What happened to him? Like, I saw him start a few preseason games and then just faded out of the team because he was very well priced and could be that 4.5 asset which could start games and give you an odd point here or there. So, what happened with Ndomble?
That's a good question. So what happened early on when everybody got back from vacation? Again, the frustration with Spurs, we didn't have many friendlies lined up, so there's a lot of 11v11 internally.
Hmm.
And from the reports, we were seeing that Ndombele was starting with the first 11, so he was the second number eight beside Madison and playing in front of Bissouma in the 4-3 formation. But he got injured, and after that, I think a combination of maybe his attitude. There's always been issues about him. And then seeing how Lo Celso is doing, I guess we just realized there's no space for him in the team. And
Got it.
also, he's such a bad business, getting him for the price we got him for. And he also makes 200K a week. He's the highest earning player in Spurs beside Kane. Him and Kane both make 200K a week. I don't care about salaries and stuff like that, but the wage structure at Spurs it's not the same as City or United. It's a little bit low. So he's supposed to be contributing Kane level type of performance for us, but but he's just sitting in the bench. So there's not a lot of reason to keep him, especially this season with us only playing in the Premier League and expect Madison and Lo Celso to switch positions. So I think that's probably one of the reasons. Just financially, it makes more sense to let him go, and we have
Hmm.
better suited players for that formation.
And when you talk about your left back situation, what would be like? What do you think about Udogi in that role? And do you think he actually has competition in the team?
He is very talented and very young. I think he's going to start. So far, we've seen great performances in the preseason games. Now, as season starts, playing in the Premier League for the first time, it could be a different story. But up to this point, up to now, I think he's shown a lot of signs of potential for a really great left back, especially in the inverted role where you're trying to occupy the spaces in the middle. So the whole idea
Mm.
of the Ange system is you're occupying all the spaces in the middle, so you can pass the ball quickly and get forward as fast as possible. So you can press on the other team. He's been fitting that role even better than Pedro Porro. So I think it's more nailed as a fullback compared to Porro. His competition so far is Ben Davis and Sergio Reguilon, because Perisic I think is going to be rotating with Son
Hmm.
at the in the left wing position. So I heard reports yesterday that Reguilon he's been listed for sale. He's going to transfer
Hmm.
out. So the only other guy that could be competing with him is Ben Davis, which Ben, he's a great defender, but for an attacking style of play, I don't think there is much competition there, unless, he makes a lot of mistakes, which, knowing what we know to this point, I don't expect that to happen, but, things may
Got
change.
it. Got it. Got it. Because I heard like a few comments from Ange stating that Davis is a really good defender. So that just put a doubt in my mind just to get a better understanding from your perspective. So I just wanted to put that out. So thanks for
Yeah.
explaining that to us.
Yeah, I
Appreciate
mean,
that a lot.
Davis has always been a player that's liked by all managers because we brought him in, as a backup left back for Daniel Rose, long time ago. I don't even know how long it's been. And ever since, he's occupied the left back role. He's always showed up. I mean, he's playing to his level, right? His potential. Like he's always given his 110%. And, we switched his position to a center back in a back four at some point in time under Mourinho, and then when Conte came, he became a left center back in a back five, and then now Ange, because he didn't have any defenders, he played him as center back and as a left back. So just the sacrifices that he makes as a player makes him really more desirable and just always giving it his best. But in terms of quality, I think as long as Sudogi is fit, I think he's going to be starting most
Got it.
games.
Got it. And one more question for you in terms of the wingers. So you mentioned that Son and Kulusevski are for the width of the team. So do you think they would be involved more into the game? Would they be anywhere close to the goal, or are they going to just be hugging the touchline and be not be those FPL assets that we're looking at who are like scoring goals or cutting inside and taking those shots. So, what do you think about your winger situation as of now?
So this is a great question. So I don't think we have enough data to make an informed statement about this yet because so far, the games that we've played, it's only been halves. So except the Shakhtar game, we've not seen enough to make a decision. Mainly because in Ange's previous teams, the wing backs have been more involved on the attack in front. But so far, with Stone's position, for example, we've seen him play more wide, which could also be a function of Stone readapting to a new style of play. Because
Hmm.
under Conte, he was really occupying the half spaces up front versus going all the way wide. In Ange's previous systems, he always has two wingers. One of them is really good at 101s and taking on the defenders, and the other one is good at cutting inside and taking a shot. The data that we have is all of the wingers that he's had starting, they contribute to goals and assists. This is what we know for sure.
Hmm.
Now, whether how long it's going to take for Son and Kulusevski to adapt, or whether they're going to adapt at all, that's a different question because Son and Kulusevski are a little similar stylistically. They both like cutting in and just taking that shot versus being the dribbling guy getting past the defender. Because for example, in our side we have Solomon who's more of the 101 taking
Hmm.
on the defender type of guy, always giving the defense an issue. So we're yet to find out. I think as time passes, you'll see the team adapt better to Ange's system. Just we need to see more minutes. For an FPL perspective, I wouldn't go with the wingers yet for that reason. Because, for
Got it.
example, as I was watching the game today, and again, this is, a result of previous games, Perisic playing as the left winger, he's been playing really, really well. Like he had an assist today, and he also contributed significantly to even to Spurs' first goal by passing the ball to Reguilon, who crossed it inside and eventually led to the goal. And then the second goal was just him crossing for Skip to hit it in. He knows what to do in that role. Perisic, knows when to cross the ball versus when to, take on the defender and possibly, make a different decision versus someone who's really used to cutting in and taking the shot to score. So short answer,
Got it.
long answer to your question, but shortly, it's really, I don't think anybody knows the answer to that yet. We just need to see the team play more minutes to have an
Yeah.
informed decision.
Yes, it's as of now it's just a wait and watch, and let's see if we have more data on it and
Hmm.
what we can see in the games, and then make a decision on who's the one that's going to keep with and who's the one that's cutting in.
Hmm.
So yeah, thanks for your insight on Ange Ball, and we appreciate this a lot. I just had one final question for you. What do you think about the change in your goalkeeper and the playing out from the back? So is that the thing that is contributing towards the defense being leaky, or is that like a, a like an accumulation of many other factors?
You mean in the past, the issues you've had? Yeah, I mean, it was Lorius being unable to, play with his feet well was one of the reasons because when we have the ball, teams got used to just pressing our guys, and eventually when the ball goes to Loris, it's the same as having the ball back to the other team because he
Hmm.
would pass it to the first available guy, and without accounting for the how much pressure is on him or not, and just be a bad phase of play, or trying to have a long ball to the next available guy, which 7 out of 10 times it would not be complete. So we needed to change that. If we're going to be playing under pressure from the back, we needed to have a goalkeeper who's really comfortable with his feet. And it seems like Vicario is fitting that role very well. He may not be as great of a shot stopper as Doris, but Ange's philosophy was simply like this. If you attack, you don't need to defend. That's the whole idea. I don't need to have my goalkeepers, saving shots, which is, what we know about Ederson. He
Fair.
gets a lot of clean sheets because even though he doesn't, save anything because he doesn't need to defend. City doesn't need to defend. I
Absolutely.
I could kind of make the same argument about Arsenal as well and Ramsdale. Like sometimes he makes really great saves, but he also could,
Has an error.
yeah, if I was an Arsenal fan, I would be a little scared, sometimes with him because you never know what's going to happen. But again, he's getting clean sheets for the same reason because Arsenal keeps
True.
attacking and they don't let the other team, have an opportunity.
True.
So we're hoping it will be the same case for us.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, from a defensive point of view, for sure, the new center back should help out,
Mhm,
and hopefully, the partnership develops and there is a better understanding between them and the goalkeeper, and then things just might just turn around. So yeah, completely looking forward to the new season and how Ange Ball is going to be played out.
mhm.
Let's just move on to the predicted lineup. This is solely a predicted lineup from our team. We do not exactly know. So that's why we will have you on board and we just want you to run through this. And what do you think would be the changes, if any, in this 11? And do you think there can be an upgrade in any position out of this 11 as of now?
So I mean, goalkeeper is fine. Good rapport on the right. Romero right center back, all good. Udogi left back, also good. Ben Davis, 30% chance he may start. I think we may go with Miki, our new center back.
Hmm.
Just more better profile for our Ange system. Up top, starting with the attackers, I think those three look fine to me. Personal feeling, I've been feeling this way most of the summer. I think Kane is staying. I was more 50-50 recently, but the latest development is pointing toward, the direction that is more likely to stay. He seems to be happy with the direction that the club is going. And if I put myself in his shoes, I would feel the same way. We
For
had
sure.
these high-profile managers in the past, which was just, blockbuster names, didn't really contribute much to the team. And he's a smart guy. He knows, where we're going. So we'll see. It may change. I could be wrong, but I think those three will be the attacking lineup come Brentford game. In the middle,
Okay.
Bissouma number 6 in the middle. I think that's kind of guaranteed unless an injury or something happens. Madison on the left. That's almost guaranteed. There is no way we're not starting Madison unless something is happening. On the right, that's the question mark. I don't think anybody has a great idea. I was following some Spurs accounts, tweeting, asking people what their expected lineup is, and I think there's a complete divide on expectations on who that's going to be. Some people are saying it's going to be Skip. Others are saying it's going to be Sar. Some people are hoping it's going to be Lo Celso just because he's a really good
Hmm.
player. But I
Hmm.
think, in my opinion, that's going to be too risky. Um, and then there's also some saying he may play Højbjerg as number 6 in the middle and then move Bissouma to number 8 because Bissouma is such a great player. He can fill that role as well. So kind of more protection, which kind of makes sense because if your defensive line is not sorted out, so you want to provide more protection for the gap you
Absolutely.
have in the back. I don't think
Absolutely.
that's going
Yeah.
to happen. I
No,
don't
go
think
ahead. Go
that's
ahead.
going to happen because Højbjerg is just not the same number 6 profile as Bissouma. My personal opinion is probably going to be Sar because he's young. He's just running nonstop and all over the field and pressing and short passing. He has all the attributes we need for that position for the time being. As season passes, that could change. I'm not sure. But I think he complements Madison very well because he allows Madison to go forward
Mhm.
and be on the edge of the penalty box. So what he does, he either goes in to receive the ball and have a shot or something, or drop out a little bit, receive the ball, and just be Madison, who's really great at long shooting. If I was the defender against him, I would be scared what he's going to do. So both options, either take a long shot or through ball in. Um, so that's the whole thing. Just quick short passes, uh, move the ball quickly and look for a gap, and then hit the opposition team. Um,
Perfect,
it's going to
perfect.
be
So,
nice.
so that second number eight is still up in the air, and
Hmm.
we do not exactly know. So, but most of the team is it's going to be almost similar to what we have over here, except Davis and Mickey moving, and then Hoiberg position a little not too sure as of now.
Yeah,
So
it would be
all
interesting.
I yeah, yeah, go ahead, go
I
ahead, go
was
ahead.
going to add, it would be very interesting if somehow Lo Celso proves to Ange that he can fill in the second number eight role on the right, which comes with some defensive duties. If he can prove to the manager that he can fill that role, I think he would be an amazing bargain at 5 million.
For
This is his price right now. Because what will happen with us, they were showing the stats earlier. We scored what 70 goals or something like that and conceded
sure.
63. I'm still expecting us to concede 50 to 60 goals. I think our goals scored should go up a little bit. We'll probably score more goals, but it will be distributed more evenly. You'll see more players on the score sheet, and that means both number eights, both wingers. Kane is going to be on the score sheet, even our fullbacks, because in that system they're in the midfield and they're always pressing forward as well. So that's one
Yeah,
to keep an eye for.
I remember Udogi getting a few goals this preseason as well, right? From defense. So yeah, and also like that just rang a bell with me. I used to watch Celtic games like whenever they played in the Champions League, and you're kind of right on that. I remember them scoring like 4 goals, and each of them was a different scorer.
Hmm.
So so similar to that, we can expect something at Spurs this season. So if you had to like pinpoint a talisman in the team, like with if Kane stays and if Kane leaves, so who would you point that to be?
So before I give, I just want to say full disclosure. I am an emotional FPL player with Spurs. There has been many times in the past where I've had Spurs players in my team when I shouldn't have had Spurs players in my team because I enjoy the game more with Spurs. Just a big fan. So I just want to point it out. But I'll try to be as an emotional as possible. I think as of now, regardless if Kane goes or stays, I think Madison is a great pick. He's a safe pick. I know some people are joking about what happens if, the FPL deadline is on Friday, right? And Kane's deadline is on Sunday. What happens if, you get Kane in your team or something like that, and then on Saturday Spurs is like, okay, we're going to accept your offer and you leave. So it's a little risky there. And same goes
True.
for Richarlison. And even if the news says we may accept Kane's offer from Bayern, that's still some uncertainty there to get to the final full announcement. So the point being, no matter the outcome, I think Madison is going to get assists. I think he's going to be on the score sheet as well, because he himself is at each game you're seeing improving and improving more. Because at Leicester, he was the similar to Kane. He was the one-man team. He would get the ball, he would distribute. He would take his time on the ball. And everything would go through him. It's a little different here. Even though he is kind of our main playmaker, we're more looking for a short passing type of game, right? Get the ball, one touch, second touch, pass it to the next available player forward. So the opposition team is always watching their back, for attackers running behind. So he's also adapting to the new style, but with that, he's going to learn that he can flourish even more in this new system. So I have high expectations from Madison. I am personally going to start with Madison. Um, I think he's kind of nailed in my team, seeing what I've seen so far. Not just from him, but even when I see Lo Celso playing his role, you can see that a team is putting a lot of weight, a lot of emphasis on that role, for all
Hmm.
the distribution. So we know that a lot is going to come from them. Now, as time passes, I think we'll realize, with Spurs scoring and a lot of goals and being high on the XG table, I think everybody in the FPL Twitter community is obsessed with XG nowadays. We will see that Spurs is going to be high on the XG table, and obviously, then next question is, well, we should get the attacker because the number nine is going to be getting all the opportunities. So if Kane stays, as I was saying earlier, being one of the most complete strikers of our time, it's going to be a no-brainer. He scored a ridiculous number of goals last season in Conte's archaic system. Could only imagine what he could do this year. In a team that's even creating more chances, giving him more freedom, and kind of lifting the pressure off of his shoulders a little bit because opposition defenders they're not going to be looking for Kane only
Hmm.
like they used to before. They have to look for other threats, so it could be the
Makes
number
sense.
eights or the wingers. So it will be very interesting. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. I think I'll start with Madison. If I get news, 100% that Kane is staying, I think I will set up my team such that starting game week 3 for the easier fixtures, I will make my way to Kane. If it's Richarlison, I think there's a big probability I will have both Richie and um, Madison in my team. I mean, 7 million and 7.5 million, such a
Absolutely.
no-brainer. Big bargains in the game.
Es- Especially if you have like an out of position midfielder starting in the
Mm,
most advanced position on the pitch, you have to pick him, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
makes complete sense.
It's a little difficult to sell that because we have a lot of good midfielders in the game. I know some people are obsessed with the 6.5 midfielder bracket, um, which is fair because there is some good picks in there, and I have one in my team right now. But then you're looking at the other options. You have two from Man United and then two or three from Arsenal. But setting the Man United guys aside, you have the one from Arsenal. We all have Saka, but the other guy, do we really trust their minutes? Can you tell me for sure that whether that's Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard, to a certain extent Odegaard as well? Are their minutes guaranteed?
Hmm.
They're playing in Europe and Champions League. It's not like last season. Last season they were in here the other European league. What was it, Europa League, whatever that is? I always mix up the names. Because Arsenal always started their second team in the European
Yeah,
competition. This year it's going to be a little different. Arteta wants to go for both because he has a great squad, good depth. The backup players can play both in the league and Champions League. So I'm personally expecting to see more rotation in Arsenal. So when you put that all together, I could easily make an argument saying, hey, how about we just go for the two guys who are only playing in one competition, which is could be Madison or Charleston. We'll see. See how that goes.
absolutely. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, fatigue management these days is a big thing with the amount of games each player is playing. So when you have those picks and nailed picks from these teams, which are not going to be as involved in Europe and a traditional top six team,
Mhm.
for that matter, if you have those opportunities, you should be going for them whenever you have that chance. So makes complete sense with your reasoning. So let's just move on to our final slide, which is FPL picks that you expect from Spurs. So it's a basic picks that we like from Spurs. So I just want you to rank them as your top three to pick from from Spurs, or and also if possible. I mean, it's difficult to choose between your picks, but if you want to pick one player to avoid out of your team and one player you have like would you see like a future potential going into the season. So if you have any insight on that, you could just share that with us, please.
Okay. Okay. So the way I would rank this, instead of naming a player, it's my expectation is, the position that's going to return the most FPL points. I think obviously number one will be our number nine, whether that's
Hmm.
Kane or G. If we see that Kane is staying, he's going to be my pick, or if it's Richarlison, then he's going to be my pick. Number two would be Madison, just because he's a kind of a guaranteed starter getting points. That's why I have in my team. I think he's going to be on the score sheet. And then number three, that's a little more challenging. It could be the wingers, as they find the right balance, the right chemistry. But we don't know that for sure. I wouldn't go near the defense yet. I mean, I was tempted myself to go with Pedro Porro because he's very attacking. He kind of fits Ange's profile of a player because Porro is always risky. He's not afraid to take on the opposition guy or occupying a spot you wouldn't expect him to be there.
Hmm.
And you could make the same argument for Udogi, but just because earlier on you're just going to concede so many goals and you're just relying on you're losing your expected clean sheet, so you're just relying on that player returning. Um,
Absolutely.
so we will see. It's kind of a coin flip, honestly. Even like as I said earlier, my preferred one would probably be the third midfielder, which is Lo Celso. If he gets the position, he's going to be really good in that role. So we'll see.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So let's see if we have any questions which we have not covered. Uh, Preferred formation, starting 11. We kind of went over this, so this was were covered during our discussion. Uh, Yogesh is saying that the NLD would be a cracker, so he's looking forward to it already.
It will be fun. I agree, Yogesh. I think you know as a Spurs fan, it pains me to watch Arsenal play this well, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for Arteta and what he's done and the style of play that he plays. It's been a little sad watching the evolution of both teams in the last 5 years as a Spurs fan because you've gone up and just gone the opposite direction.
Hmm.
But for the first time in a while, you'll see both teams, on their front feet from the beginning, attacking. So kind of some of the classical North London derbies that we, used to see many years ago. I think we'll see more of those in the coming years. So I'm really looking forward. As I said earlier, away Arsenal. uh, if I could put money, I would put my money on Arsenal winning, given everything that I know. But hey, it was always written on the wall, so that has nothing to do with where we are today.
Absolutely. I mean, and especially derby games can go any way. It's all passion and who wants to win the most on that day. So whenever it comes down to derby games, you cannot like actually call it. But as you said, the historical data at the Emirates is not great for Spurs for a very long time. But I think honestly, this time I think there will be more of a competition than it being like park the bus and just wait for that counter to happen. It's going to be more front foot football from both the sides, which is going to be exciting.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
the last one that we have over here is from Gabe, FPL Lens, one of our good friends from NetTed Hall.
Mhm.
He also agrees with you that Madison is nailed in his team, and he feels Ange is the next RDZ when it comes to attack and shots. So I think we kind of agree to that as well. That we
Mhm.
feel that we are going to expect an attacking and exciting Spurs team in the future in the future coming season.
Mhm. That's exactly
And
right.
if we have any questions on Twitter, I think we've covered this. We had a question from Black Wolf earlier, and he says that if what do you think about Madison if Kane stays, than if he leaves? If he does leave, do you still rate Madison as a top pick? But I think you have already covered this one, so we can move on from that. We have a
Mhm.
new one. Uh, he's just mentioning that he has Udogi in his team and he expects to bring in Madison. So if you had to like prioritize one or asset, you would still go with Madison over your defense, right?
Probably earlier on, but I mean, 4.5. If you're setting your expectations, right? You're saying my 11th guy, last defender. I'm not expecting clean sheets, but big upside if they're on the score sheet. So, with that perspective, yeah. And I think he has another question. He's asking if,
Yeah.
uh,
So yeah, if double Spurs seems reasonable, what do you think on that?
yes, Hadi, I perfectly agree. I think, like I said earlier, we'll be creating a lot of chances. Similar how early on, after RDZ, became the manager for Brighton,
Absolutely.
everybody jumped on their assets. There was a good reason because attacking, creating chances, everybody's on the score sheet. So it's going to be a similar story for us. Big
Absolutely.
upside. Um, as also, this also depends on your wild card plans, kind of early on. But like I said, the first two games are not easy. So, and that's really directly a comment that's
Yeah,
coming
that's
up next. Yeah.
it's perfectly segued into our next comment
hmm
that says that if game week three would be a wild card strategy. So if Spurs and Chelsea are doing well, that looks like a viable strategy going in, right?
So yes, great point, MC. It really depends on your team, what you're trying to get out of it. It could be a great strategy. For me personally, I'm, yet to see the full team chemistry melding. Because playing friendly preseason friendlies is not the same as playing competitive Premier League. Um, I know as a
Absolutely.
Spurs fan, I'm very excited. Everybody's excited, but it doesn't change the fact that this is Ange's first job at this level. He seems to have everything under control, which is really great to see. It makes me feel assured. But even for him, I think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I'm surprised by how aggressive and attacking we've been, because it leaves us completely exposed in the back. So whether that stays or not, that's yet to be found out. We may find out the first two games, playing Brentford away and United home, being exposed and playing against some of the great attacks or transition teams in the league. So is he going to change it? Is he not going to change it? I don't know. We'll find out.
Sounds good. So we have one last comment from Gabe. Says Kane said he plays one game with Spurs that he would finish the season with them. Do you believe that? If so, should we make sacrifices to start Kane?
No, as I said, it's a big possibility that you have Kane in your team. The reporters on Twitter are telling you that Kane is likely to stay, and then somebody at Bayern wakes up on Saturday morning and submits a big offer. Spurs accepts the offer. Even though the deadline has passed, you could have Kane be on the airport instead of playing against Brentford on Sunday. So I wouldn't risk that. If you want my advice, the way I have it set up in my team, for example, I have Salah in my team. I'm kind of using him as a placeholder the first two game weeks.
Hmm.
Game week three, it shouldn't be too difficult to switch things around because there is some fixture turn for both teams. If I see that
Yep.
Kane is staying, I can easily make the switch happen because I've already allocated the funds for him. I know there's other ways to go that route. It's not the only way. I was talking with some friends, and it's really up to you. So um, it's just a little too risky. It could have a lot of upside. You could have Kane start and score a hat trick, but you're just dealing with a
Yeah.
lot of risk. I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if it's against Brentford and United, you can just skip those two games. And as you said, that you have Salah in your team as the placeholder, so just a couple of transfers saved, and then you can just switch the funds around and still get Kane easily. So that makes complete sense. And to just hold on to it till the first game weekends, and then we know that Kane should be staying.
hmm
So, I mean, I hope he stays to his words, and if he believes that he believes in the system and stays true to his word, then he should be available for the entire season then. So, common consensus on that should be like just wait for game week 1, and probably game week 3 is the right time to jump on him.
Hmm.
Perfect. I don't see anything else, and I appreciate you coming on and giving us a great insight into Ange Ball. Now we absolutely know the system and the players a little in more depth than compared to what we had an understanding of it before. And to the people who are on the stream, please just hit the like, give us a subscribe, and do follow us for more. Also follow FPL Masterpiece on Twitter. He's at the rate FPL underscore Masterpiece. So do follow him. He is a great account to interact with. And give us a follow, give us a like if you like our stuff. Tune back for more. We also have team previews coming up for Manchester City tomorrow, so feel free to join them, ask questions. We will have Alex from Twitter discussing all things Manchester City. So let hop on, ask any questions. Feel free to be a part of the community. Thank you, Shakir. Appreciate your time and appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Nihal. Thank you for having me over, and thanks for all the questions. Looking forward to the season. Should be great.
Same here, same here. Cheers, man.
All
See you
right,
around.
take care.